voice, right? So it's
Yes.
all right. So I'm the Magadan, you know. And in 2000, I went to Toronto and I saw the Gladiator. And when I searched the meaning of the word Maximus, it means greatest or greatness, depending on who translates it for you.
Very interesting.
So
Yeah.
I said, all right. And then I like the role that the guy Russell Crowe played in the movie. So I just said, you know what? Time for some change. Because when you look at the name, you know, over a period of time, you get to 34, 35, you get to 40 years, you don't want people calling you Magadan, right?
Yes.
It's not really that marketable.
Yes.
You know,
Makes sense.
it may be marketable when you're 15 or 16, but not when you get to age 50. So I decided, all right, the change needs to come now where people know my voice, they know the works that I'm doing. And it was at a good age, at age of 21. So when Maximus Dan came about, a lot of great music came with that name change, you know, and the history is there for everybody to see.
Yes.
You know, with the likes of Soca Train,
Oh yes.
Fighter, Last Satan, War.
Yeah.
Because
We're gonna feature a couple tracks. Some of your old tracks.
Right? List goes on. It's there to prove itself.
Oh yes, we'll be featuring some of your old tracks as well.
Yeah. But even with all of that, right? Change is always round the corner. It's either you want to embrace it or you want to run from it and avoid it. But you can't run away from yourself. And eventually it will catch up to you. So I enjoy the era of Maximus Dan.
Yes.
Tremendously. I'm extremely grateful and thankful.
So do I.
However, right? Let me say it again. However, right? For you, it's one experience. But for me, the personality, the person who has to live with the sobriquet and live with the works, yeah, and live with every experience of creating that persona, I felt that I was being put in a time capsule. So all everybody's going to remember is you as this particular artist. When I have so much to offer, because just before the phone rang, I was recording a song.
Really?
Even though I knew I had this interview,
yes.
That didn't stop me from going into my studio room and recording, because I'm trying to get an EP finished towards the end of the year. Maybe next year it may be released. I may put out a couple singles before the year is over, God willing. And I've learned so much over the past 10 to 15 years in terms of my ability to write and produce my own stuff. So I felt, well, you're in your prime now. So time for you to become Maximus Prime, otherwise known as MX Prime. So the Maximus has not gone anywhere, right?
Yes.
But I'm at the prime of my creativity. I'm in the prime of my life musically. The ideas are just swarming and swirling and coming to me all the time. A lot of young people would try to engage my vocals for multiple things, not just for music, but for DJ drops, for intros.
Yes.
I've been doing that for 15 years. All the pull-ups that you would hear in the Caribbean, most of them are done by me. It's my voice.
Yes.
So I am relevant not just in music culture, but in DJ culture. Nice. So I am not going to just make myself one particular thing when I could be more than one thing in this industry. Because when door number one closes, door number two presents itself.
Oh, yes.
And you need to take that.
Definitely.
As long as you have the determination and the talent to get your work done and to get your point across. And not just to stay relevant, but also to take care of your family and take care of yourself. Because this is a business. So I saw my window of opportunity to make a change, because these changes I would make would affect Maximus Dan negatively. That was my opinion, because it's not the style that people have grown so accustomed to under the Maximus Dan era. Mm-hmm. And it's not only calypso or soca tracks that I do. Yes. And my organization, the Ultimate Rejects, we don't just do calypso or soca. We do every main genre that it has globally. That is what we set up Ultimate Rejects to do.
That's good.
Which is to do global music. So MX Prime is coming of age that I felt that, listen, now is the time to really and truly put forth the works that you really wanted to all this time, but for some reason or the other, you was holding it back because of, thinking that, hey, people are not going to accept it. But guess what? People are not going to accept you, even if you do what you want them to do. Even if you do what even if you're the person that, does everything they ask.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of you. As long as you have life and health and strength and people who love you and care about you, you need to make decisions that will make you happy and not reach 80 or 90 years old and have a ton of regret because 60 years ago you could have done this and done that, and you're on your deathbed or you're in that old age home by yourself looking out that window and saying, boy, I should have done this. I had the opportunity to do that, but I was scared. And I was thinking about how my fans would feel, or how my family would feel, or how my best friend would feel. But guess what? Your best friend is pursuing his or her dreams.
It's true.
They're doing that.
Well said.
And they ain't care what you think or anybody else think.
Yeah. So
this wasn't a career decision for me. This was a life-altering decision for me.
Yes.
That I need, as much as I love my fans and I love my supporters, they would love me even more being truthful to myself.
Yeah.
They would love me even more for trying to bring stuff to them that they never thought that I could bring to them.
Yes.
That's like a chef. If a chef keeps giving you one dish all the time, sooner or later somebody else will copy it and make it different, not necessarily better, but it will compete with what you have been giving them for the last 20, 25 years. But if you keep reinventing, and keep bringing something different to the menu, as much as everybody loves your signature dish, they realize that, hey, you're versatile. You could bring different meals to the table and we could enjoy just the same as the signature dish. But that needs to be decided by the chef.
It's true.
You may not, the owner of the restaurant may not like it. So you know what you have to do? Go and get your own restaurant.
True.
So the owner of that restaurant won't want to fire you or make demands on you. You open your own restaurant, and this is what I did.
That's good. Now
I chose to do what I want to do.
Good, man. I agree with that 100%. Now tell me, in 1997, you were one of the first Trinidadian artists to feature on a major Jamaican label called Mainstream Records with Red Rat, Hawkeye, Goofy, Gerald Degree, just to mention a few. How did you get involved in that project?
Well, again, I was never doing soca at that time. I was doing dancehall music and reggae music. As a matter of fact, the only people that I used to listen to in soca at that time would have been obviously Marshall Montano, because he had a lifelong relationship with everybody, because everybody knew him since he was a kid doing this music. Black Stalin, Super Blue, Lord Kitchener, the Mighty Shadow. These guys, because these guys were different in their own right, the Mighty Sparrow as well. So back in those days, those guys you would see on the television and, you would say, wow, these guys doing great, and I used to listen to them. But to say I wanted to do calypso or soca, that was never my thing, right? My style, my vibe always gravitated towards the Ninja Man, the Super Cat.
Yeah.
These kind of artists, Dirtsman, these kind of artists, Mad Cobra, these kind of artists back in the day coming up.
Yeah.
So, and then when Buju Banton came along, that was it. You know? So I grew up in that era. Every day going to school, you're hearing those taxis playing dancehall music. So it was an everyday thing, not like how calypso was and soca was back in the day, very seasonal. You wouldn't hear it after Carnival ended. So when you grow up in a time where you're hearing this music all the time, and you start singing the lyrics over and making up songs and going by your DJ partner or your friend whose father is a DJ, and you're listening to records, you start adapting to what you're hearing. So when I was 16 or 17, and I left school, finished school, I decided that I'm going to go to, whatever means or whatever lengths to record. And a friend of mine by the name of Kerry Maynard, he organized an audition for me at a studio called Caribbean Sound Basin. At that time was one of the biggest studios, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And they had artists like General Grant and all these guys recording with them. Many people from the US would come to Trinidad to record because it was a paradise and a nice quiet place to vibe and do music. And it was state of the art, one of the best in the Western Hemisphere in terms of equipment and all the amenities and facilities. Mm-hmm. So it is there that I got my break with a guy by the name of Sheldon Benjamin, otherwise known as Shell Shock, no longer with us, one of the greatest producers in the modern era in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
And my first song I recorded was a track called Only Gun, which was a dancehall track. So when I started to, perform all over the place, I met other artists. And I met KMC at the age of 17. And he was one of the top guys at the time doing dancehall in Trinidad and Tobago, along with General Grant and a few others.
Yes.
And those times, there used to be concerts in Trinidad where they bring in Capleton, bring Garnet Silk, and all the top acts of those times. And I got my opportunity to perform at the age of 17 in a concert that featured the Fugees, the entire team, the original cast, which was Lauryn Hill, Praz, and Wyclef.
Wow, amazing.
And Supercat. My first concert I did with at least 15 to 18,000 people in the Queen's Park Savannah was not doing calypso or soca. So many people don't know that.
Yeah.
So that's where I got noticed. And I met my management after that. And they had connections in Jamaica with Red Rat and these guys because they used to come quite often.
Yeah.
So I was introduced to their manager by the name of Danny Brownie. He so happens to be the brother of one of the greatest dancehall producers, which is Steely and Clevie.
Yes.
So Danny Brownie's brother is Clevie. So they from a whole musical family
yes.
And they came to Trinidad and they saw me perform. And because my manager at the time, Simon Batiste, had a relationship with Danny Brownie, they agreed to conduct an experiment and carry me up to record. And that's how the whole opportunity came. But I'll tell you this, I was supposed to go back to Jamaica and stay.
Yeah.
But in those days, it didn't have like what we have now, where you could WhatsApp people, you could Google Meet, you could Facebook, you could FaceTime. It didn't have that. So even if it is you're halfway around the world, you could still stay in touch with people anytime you feel to.
Yeah.
Back in those days, it didn't have that. So, and as a teenager, I felt like, I am ready to change my life in this particular way. So I didn't go back. But there was a reason for everything. And that is when I said, you know what, let me concentrate on doing some, soca material, but with this different kind of vibe and this different type of style. And I was encouraged to do it with KMC. And that is where the Raga Soca movement really took off. Because before that, a few others were doing it, like the likes of Oscar B, General Grant, a host of others.
Yeah.
KMC, but there wasn't really a real movement. And then when Bunchy Garland, myself, Three Sons, Benjai, and all these other artists, a younger generation, the Squeezy Ranks, and all these other artists
yes, I remember
started doing music, it just changed the face of the sound of the music, and also people's fetting experience, because we came in with a different type of vibe. When you heard Bunchy Garland freestyle for the first time, that never existed in Carnival. Yes, there was extempo, but it wasn't that kind of lyricist and that kind of venom. People never saw that, so it was so amazing.
Yes.
to be a part of that generation that helped shape the sound of the music and put it in a direction where younger people now could say, okay, we like this style. Some of the older heads had questions and had criticisms, which is allowed because that's the only way we could get better.
Yes.
And that's the only way we could learn from what was done before we came.
That's
so,
right.
you know, that helped me to have conversations with elders who would say, but I don't understand what you guys saying. You know, you guys' diction need to be much better. And all these different suggestions that they made. You know, we took it because we grew up in a time where you had to respect your elders and you got to listen to the people who paved the way for you to come.
For sure.
So that to me was good because I got, you know, the opportunity to work with people like Roy Cape, a legend, right?
Yeah, legend, oh yes.
Work with some of the biggest bands, you know, from Ecstatic to Atlantic, to working with people and talking with people like Ronnie McIntosh and even, you know, Uncle Super Blue and these guys, you know. When you get to work with these people and talk with these people and see these people perform and also practice, because you would show up and you would see them practicing at band rooms, and it's like you were in school. It was like a university.
Yeah, you were learning.
So you were learning, right? So it was a tremendous opportunity in that time to be so young and be around these legendary, iconic figures in the culture. So to me, you know, the choice that I made to stay wasn't without a loss, and also it gave me a gain where I could actually appreciate what we do in Trinidad and Tobago as it relates to our music and how we can make it not just better, but different, because there's a difference between better and different. Some people will tell you, well, because it's different, it's better. No, it's different, so it's unique. It's something that will stand out. But better has to do with one going after greatness and pushing to make something much more fine-tuned, right? So that people could say, okay, I've seen the product move from point A to point B to point C, all the way down to Z, based on the fact that you all sat down and you tried your best to make the product enhanced. So that's what I try to do every day with my music.
Okay. Now tell me, you know, in the 90s, you had a number of hits. You were very consistent artist. Your beats are very infectious, and you know the words just follow automatically. How do you maintain that consistency?
Well, first thing first, to me, it wasn't really about being consistent. It was about being, you know, unrelenting, right? It's like a Gatling gun. When it goes off, it's not one shot, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like Mike Tyson in the 1980s, right? In the first round, you know this fight's going to be over by the time it reaches round 3, if it takes so long. Because from the time that bell ring and he start coming at you, you know it's either one or two things, right?
Yeah.
It's either this fight ain't going to last one round, or how long can the opponent withstand this amount of pressure? Constant pressure on one point brings a breakthrough. I believe that. So when I got my opportunity, I took my opportunity because failure was not an option. It is okay to fail when it is you're trying something new. You know, it makes you now say, okay, how do I adjust? How do I adapt? You go back to the drawing board, you sketch it out, you work it out, and then you come again. With music, when you get that one hit, people start taking notes. People start noticing you. The journalists start saying, who's this guy? You know, they want an interview, right? DJs start saying, who's this guy? You know, so you got to keep that consistency up. You got to maintain that for the sake of pushing your brand. And back in those days, we didn't have Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all these different things. We may have had MySpace, you know.
Yeah, I remember,
but
yes.
These things were not accessible to the public in this particular way like how it is now. So we had to do so much work. We not only, you know, just good music, but we had to have a good rapport with everybody in the industry. We got to show up at places, even though they would say, no, you guys can't come in. But we got to show our face anyway, because they have to know who we are.
True.
Because at that time, failure, and up to this time, failure is not an option. So one had to be consistent. But I had a lot to say too. Sometimes when you have a lot to say, it helps, right? Because it's like all this, energy inside of you, right? That built up and feeling caged. When it is you get to release it, it's like it's a full release. So for me, dealing with issues, life issues in the music, talking about, how we could unify, how, we as young people could do better, how, on the spiritual side, because I grew up in a household where my mom, up to this day, she's a God-fearing person. So every day when we speak, is always about the Almighty and not forgetting Him. So plenty of that, was in the music that I had to get out, because it's how you live, to me, is how what you portray, so.
That's right.
And back in them days, was just letting it out like a volcano erupting.
Now tell me, we spoke about the 90s. Which song would you say that catapulted you to stardom? You must have had a big hit at some point in the 90s. Which song would you say?
Well, may not be in the 90s, but in the 2000 era, I did a song on the Douglas rhythm called Be Humble. And when that came out like, I want to believe around summertime in Brooklyn, just before Labor Day, in the year 2000, going in towards 2001. And that song just had New York and all the other states, Boston, even Toronto in Canada, those places were buzzing with that brand new rhythm. That Douglas rhythm had Dennis Belfort, Bunji Garlin, Massive Go Sign. It had many people on it.
Can we just feature this track for our listeners? Be humble. Yes?
Not a problem.
Go away, 1 second.
Maximus, dangerous, devious. Hey! Give me now. With the young.
Big tune, MX Prime. As I said before, your beats, they're just so infectious and the words just follow automatically.
Yeah, man. Big up Will Braxton, the producer of that. He passed away earlier on this year. Very creative guy. He actually did Bashment to Carnival for KMC. So
yes, I remember that song.
A funny story with this song here in the background. They gave me the rhythm about, I ain't gonna lie, probably about 2 or 3 weeks before the recording took place. And I didn't have a song up to the day that, I was supposed to record. I was leaving home. My mom said to me, when are you going to be back? I say, well, I don't know. I head into the studio and, hopefully I'll get this song done, because I don't even know where to start with the beat, because so many ideas came to my mind, but nothing to really stick. And as I was changing my clothes, I just got the first verse, which is the chorus and the verse. And I went to the studio and I said to them guys, yo, I don't think I have a song yet. I have a piece or something. And Daryl said, well, go in the booth, let's vibe it. So while warming up my voice, I said, Maximus, dangerous. And he said, that's your song, Say, anything you say after that, it don't really matter. He said, but you see, this intro, I said, well, this wasn't even an intro. This was just me warming up my voice. He said, that is it. And we put that and we recorded it down, and the rest was history.
Wow, amazing. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah. And your other big song, Soca Warriors, can you talk to us about this track as well?
Well, as I said
In
to
fact,
my friend...
hold on, MX Prime. Before you answer this, let me just play this track for our listeners, Soca Warriors, so they will have an idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good afternoon. And we're gathered here for the game of your life. Lovely. I want to see you put your flags up in the air right now. Sing. 102.1 FM, things turn up. I say when God knows I am a fighter. I'm a soul, I got to shine my nationality brighter. I am a soul, I say when God knows I am a fighter. I'm a soul, I got to shine my nationality brighter. We will attack, we will defend. We going to pressure them to the very end. On any opposition that we meet, hear me now. We go defeat them all defeat. We go fight.
Big tune. I remember that when that song came out, Soca Warriors. Talk to me about this track, MX Prime.
Well, the name of the song is Fighter.
Yes.
So for people who've never heard the correct name of the song,
It's Fighter.
Yep. Actually, this was something that the Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation, they brought me into a meeting. They called me to a meeting in 2004, and they asked me if I would write a song for the upcoming campaign for World Cup qualification.
Yes.
So when I left the meeting, I went home, and the chant, which everybody knows, that came to mind first, and started working on it, and we put out the track when the team was what you would call losing. They played 3 games, and it's only point. And a lot of people said to me, boy, you mad to even put out this track because, this team ain't going anywhere. And I said to them, it is easier to doubt than it is to believe, right? 9 out of 10 humans would doubt before they even believe. So I always had faith that the team would find a way to get wins and to stack up points and possibly get close to qualification. And the song got stronger when the team got stronger.
Yeah.
So, it's like that song, not even me, the song was like the 12th man. And the more people heard it all across the globe, especially in the Caribbean, it became a cry just as much as Rally Round the West Indies for David Rudder is for the West Indies cricket, right?
Yes.
Fighter is that type of song. It actually got featured on the 2006 World Cup game, which was, FIFA 06. And next year, I got another track called Love Generation on the ICC cricket game. So, that was a great time for me, a great time for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, of course.
So the song itself, it will live on in memory. It doesn't get old because it's one of the more powerful songs when, you're playing soca tracks. It is an anthem.
It's like an anthem. That's what I'm about to say. It's an anthem.
Yeah. Thank God for giving me the inspiration and thank God to all those involved who brought me on board to kind of get me in tune to what they wanted me to do. So, yeah.
Right. Now, the big question everybody waiting to ask, who is the ultimate rejects, or who are the ultimate rejects? How was the group formed? Or who's the co-founder?
The group was founded on rejection, right? And yeah. And some people see rejection as a negative thing. We have a different spin to it. Sometimes you might be doing stuff that is contrary to what people think you should be doing. right? Or, why are you experimenting with this type of sound? We like you in this position. We don't like you in other positions. We like you wearing this suit, or for the ladies, we like you wearing this dress. We don't like you wearing with this hairstyle,
Yeah, yeah.
And you just trying to be you at the end of the day, or you figuring out who you really are, right? That's the only way you grow. If you try to figure out who you really are, So during the year 2007 to 2014, I had a lot of figuring out to do in my career, because I kind of took a backseat from the whole carnival thing, right?
Yeah.
Because if you live to be 100 years, my brother, you're sure enough to have a carnival somewhere, right?
Yes.
But there may not be opportunities for you if in that 100 years, if you don't make opportunities, or if you don't try to forge ahead with something new or create a niche for yourself.
Yes.
So I felt that, I could take a step back. I never wanted to be a star. I just wanted my voice to be heard. So, if doing what I did made me a star, to God be the glory. But that wasn't the initial purpose. Music is something that I love, and I like to express, and I like to experiment with. So, during those times, I started to pick up producing, and I realized that I wasn't a soca producer. I was a producer, meaning that if I want to do a dancehall track, if I want to do a hip-hop track, if I want to do a crossover track, if I want to do a dance track, that's what I would sit down and do, right? I would write songs that, soca lovers or calypso lovers wouldn't like, because it's not their vibe. But that doesn't mean there isn't somebody in the world that wouldn't want to hear this or sing it, because I'm a songwriter as well. So I felt that part of me was dying, that my creativity was dying, or it was being, suppressed, because I was doing that. Ain't nobody was doing that to me. I was doing that to me.
Yeah.
So when I started putting out different songs, people were like looking at me like, but we want to hear more of this. We don't want to hear what you're doing right now. We ain't comfortable with this change. But, that's cool if you ain't comfortable, because change is not a comfortable thing.
Yeah.
There's no challenge without change. There's no change without challenge. If you wanna drop them 30 pounds and get that physique like Cristiano Ronaldo, you can't do that sitting down on the couch.
Yes.
Right?
Put in the works.
Or going for a jog every morning and think that your body's gonna change. You might get your heart healthy with more cardiovascular training, but you're not gonna get that physique like Ronaldo. Right? You gotta do multiple things. You gotta want change. You gotta work hard during the bad times, right? During the times that you don't want to do something. And that's me, right? I worked on bringing a different sound, in my arsenal. And that was because I teamed up with a guy by the name of Johan Seaton. Everybody knows him as Madman Johan from Madman Productions.
Yes.
One of the more talented producers in the Caribbean. I'm not going to say Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to say in the entire Caribbean.
I've heard the name before, yes.
Right? And when you think about the 40-foot rhythm and the electrolytes rhythm and all these different things, right? He did People for Kess, right?
Yes.
And, when you think about all those songs, right, that he has been a part of, like more than 70% of the tracks that come out of Trinidad and Tobago, he either has a hand in mixing or mastering them.
It, yes.
So this is a man with years of experience, who I've known since I was 17 years old. So our relationship is plus 20 years. And we sat down and we had a heart-to-heart discussion about what we want to do with music, right? How we vibes music, because he was a DJ on radio, very successful with a group called Cell Construction, one of the biggest songs of Trinidad and Tobago, right? They got dub plates that collecting dust right now, right?
Yeah.
one of the only men to have a doublet with Lauryn Hill and Sizzler in a combination in Trinidad and Tobago.
Amazing.
Right? So, coming out of the songboy culture, right, or the songman culture, DJing on the radio, he got into production and became very successful at it. But something was missing between both of us, you know. We were pursuing our careers individually. And then we had a discussion about, you know, merging because we were friends, we like family. And he said, we need to come up with a name. And I said, Rejects United. He said, I love it. And then I called him back a minute after and said, nah, Ultimate Rejects. He said, more powerful. Yeah. And that's how Ultimate Rejects started in the year 2014, 2015. And we were not even focusing on doing soca because he would do his soca tracks with Madmen production, right? But Ultimate Rejects was meant to just do music for, you know, the international market, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Right? Our music is international anyway, but you understand where I'm coming from. It was non-soca tracks. It was more crossover stuff because he worked with people like Tessan Chin, Mr. Vegas, Elephant Man, you name it. You know, when Tony Mataran comes to Trinidad, he's one of the people that he would go and see because he respected it.
Yes.
You know, so you know, our intent with Ultimate Rejects was to focus on outside of Trinidad and Tobago, but then I did something that changed the course of Ultimate Rejects. I realized that in the year 2016, a lot of dance producers were coming to Trinidad and Tobago, EDM producers and DJs were coming. And they were trying to work with guys from here. Because myself and Bunchy Garland, we are on a Grammy Award-winning album, which is Diplo and Skrillex album. Mm-hmm. We actually, technically, if you want to say, we are Grammy recipients because our vocals are on that album, which nobody talks about because many people don't know this.
Yes.
But that album that Skrillex and Diplo did about 4 or 5 years ago that won the Grammy for Best Dance Album, our vocals are on a record on that album.
It's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
So at that point in time in Trinidad, many of those top producers, DJs in the EDM world, like the Martin Garrix and the Steve Aoki and all these people were coming to Trinidad. So we felt that the following year in 2017, they were going to put out tracks during the carnival. Because remember, Marshall did Song Bang with Major Lazer.
Yes,
right?
I remember. Yes.
And that was a pretty huge track, not just in TNT, but all over the place.
Global, yes.
Right? It's one of the songs when it comes on, it doesn't matter if you're in New Zealand, you're going to react to it because of the sound of it. So we felt that with this continuing trend, that it was important for us as a group that aspired to do that style of music to make our presence felt in the first 2 months of the year in 2017. We felt that if we missed it and we heard these guys coming from the US or from France, Belgium, wherever they come from, and using our artists, and we who doing the same type of music or aspiring to do the same type of music don't get in on the action, then what does it say of us? You know? So we felt compelled to throw our hat in the ring to do a couple soca songs.
And so you did.
The first song was Stage God, right? Which did very well, which was huge, right? From the time it came out in October of 2016 for the Carnival 2017 season.
Yeah.
And I went to the studio because I was working on radio at that time. Most people don't know that I was a radio announcer for 4 years. So I have radio experience.
On which station?
Again.
May I ask?
94.1, the Boom Champions.
Oh, boom. Okay. Yes.
Right? So that's why I tell you, MX Prime is not Maximus.
Yes.
Because on the MX Prime, I did all these new things. There's a generation that don't know Maximus Dan at all. But if you ask them who is MX Prime,
That's true.
they know who's MX Prime.
Very true.
So I was able to span 3 or 4 generations. There are kids who I know who have children now, who I knew them when they were kids.
Yeah.
And they can't believe that I look in the same. Because again, it's the vampire in me. But let me get back to the story.
Yes.
So when I went to the studio and said to Johan, I got this old school beat that I was working on for 6 months. I kid you not. I didn't want to do this song because I felt that, I've been down this road already with tracks like Soca Train and all these different things. I don't really need to do something like this again. I don't need to prove myself in this area, right? I'm doing something different. And when we put out Stage God, that was an indication of how different our sound was as Ultimate Rejects. I said, but I got this track here, and he took it and he put it on his computer, and he pressed the space bar. And immediately when he heard the drum roll, which is for Full Extreme, he ran outside and said, people dead. That was his reaction. Now, this is a man who had, at that point in time, was mixing and mastering a lot of people's music. So he knew, well, what the sound of the carnival was like, because all the songs were coming to him to more or less fix and get ready to send out. That is his job.
Yeah.
So when he heard the music for Full Extreme,
yes,
he ran outside. He didn't even hear lyrics yet. I'm just talking about the instrumental.
Yeah.
Right? So when I said, well, hold on, let me sing for you what I have, he ran outside again. Because he said, this is so simple, but so different that I could tell you there's nobody out there right now that has anything close to this. And that is how we got involved in soca. It wasn't deliberate. It was something that we felt that, okay, we're not going to allow anybody to come in, right, work with our artists and show us up and say, well, you guys doing EDM tracks, but we are EDM DJs and producers and we're working with your artists. So, what does that say about you guys? You guys from Trinidad and Tobago. And on top of that, you have an artist who has experience with soca and carnival, and you're not putting out any music, and you all say you're a production house. So we didn't want that on our backs. We didn't want to live with that regret that we didn't do anything. And that's how we got involved in soca. It wasn't like we wanted to be, up in front and be the flag bearers or anything. We just love, and we love our brand that much that we said, you know what? 2 months in a year, nothing is happening for Ultimate Rejects because it's carnival time. Let's get involved and let's see how far this goes. And this is why you and I are having this conversation right now.
Yeah. Because funny enough, when I first listened to that track, Full Extreme, I played that track for about maybe over 10 times. I played track over and over and over again. I say, wait, boy, them boys come for MVP, And I knew straight away it was going to be a big song, Full Extreme. I know that.
Music. We weren't looking for anything out of those 2 tracks that we put out, When we were asked by management, our manager said, so guys, what is the goal? Because he always asks these questions. What is the goal of putting out music around carnival time? When we said, well, this is not what we are going to do. What is the role? What is the goal? What is the aim? What is, where's the end game to this? And I said to him, all we want is 8 shows. Could we do 8 shows? He smiled, because 8 shows is nothing compared to the shows where a busy artist does. A busy artist will do over 20, 30 shows, sometimes 40 shows in a carnival season. So asking for 8 shows is like, hell yeah, we could do 8 shows, right? Okay. And sure enough, we did more than 8 shows.
Wow.
And those 8 shows that we pinpointed were 8 must-do shows. So we already earmarked who we wanted to do those 8 shows with. If we want to be seen, this is where we need to be seen. This is where we need. So it wasn't 8 random shows. It was 8 planned shows. So we got those 8 shows that we targeted, but even more.
Yeah. Can I just play this track just for our listeners, Full Extreme? Yeah?
It's brother.
On 102.1 FM, things turn up to the full extreme. I like it too. We gasoline, hold on the city. But Bondo, we driving still. We tell them, but Bondo, we driving still. We driving. Just hold them and walk them. 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 Just hold them and walk them.
Big tune. Just to let you know, this song was the most played song at the Notting Hill Carnival in 2017. Just to let you know.
Yep, well, I was there, so I could tell you. And actually, it is the record-breaking road march in Trinidad and Tobago history.
That's true. Most played song. Yes, I know about that.
So, and again, that was not the goal, right? The goal was put music out there, let people know there's a group called Ultimate Rejects. And many people say, well, that is just MX Prime. No, Ultimate Rejects is a group of, talented DJs, producers, radio personalities, graphic designers, videographers. So we provide a lot of services, and most importantly, we do productions for many artists, across the Caribbean. 2 summers ago, we got one of our tracks featured on a Netflix movie called The Last Summer. And it's not soca, So, people may just only hear the soca songs that we did because it's a lot. We have been involved, with, a lot of artists, and we've done plenty work since 2017. But just to let people know, we could do any form of music. We've been working with guys like Richie Loop and, Mr. Vegas and all these different guys for quite some time. Yes. So it's just talent that choose to, take the music further than just the season of Carnival.
Yeah. Can I just read a message to you from Serena Charles, all the way in St. Lucia? She said, you better tell MX Prime you have a brother who is a bassman, and this is his favorite song, Full Extreme.
Yeah, man. Blessings.
Yeah.
Blessings.
So
and
again,
that bass,
yeah,
that's the power of music, brother, because the bass line itself, right? That's the first thing I heard.
Yes.
And I recorded it down on my phone so that I wouldn't forget it, because I was out on the road and I was hearing it. And then I came home and I laid it down in my room. And that was like 6 months before anything even materialized. And every day I would just listen to music over and over, add something, take it out, frown my face when I think I'm not doing some good. 2 days pass, I ain't listening. And then, I will just listen with fresh ears. That's music for you.
Indeed,
you don't give up on it, and you just stay consistent and stay persistent, and that was the result.
Right. Now tell me, you had another track called "Energy to Burn" with Usain Bolt. How did that collaboration come together?
I'm going to say something to you. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I hear the old people say that all the time. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Sometimes when you say something, you do not know the energy that is behind what you said. You could either bring joy or pain. based on what is said or what is written or what is even thought, even not thought in your mind, right, is very powerful. So while I was doing this piece of music at home, my wife was in the room with me. She came and we were having a discussion, and then I said to her, listen to this. And I had it in the headset because I didn't want to play it loud. It was kind of, right? And she said, sounds good. I say, I'm going to try to get Usain Bolt on this. And she looked at me like, okay, you know, she has enough experience to know never to doubt me. But
yes.
Usain Bolt, she said, he's not even an artist, you know? And the chances are that, you know, it's not impossible, but it's improbable.
Yes.
Because of who he is, right? And we put out the original, and the original was doing well. But then I looked on Instagram, and I saw Usain Bolt running through Kingston with some children, and you're talking about kids in their school uniform, talking about kids bare feet, and we seen adults on the side just smiling to see this man, how he has that youthful spunk and energy. Yeah. And I sat down and I said, we're going to get Usain Bolt to do the remix on this track. In 20 minutes, listen to me carefully.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes, after speaking to a friend of mine who's a DJ in Jamaica, right? She basically took my voice note and she sent it to Usain Bolt's manager, who listened to my voice note. And in 20 minutes, I was speaking to Usain Bolt's manager after seeing his picture on Instagram. And a week later, Usain Bolt was recording. He had recorded his voice, his vocals, and his verses for Energy to Burn.
Wow.
Think about it. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Think about I just have to say thanks to God and thanks to NJ Walker, who is Usain's manager, and to Usain for buying into this. Because I'll tell you this was bigger than soca, right? We're talking about an 8-time Olympian.
Yeah.
Fastest man in the world. Born to do it because his given name is Bolt.
Yes.
Right? And
Lightly.
he live up to that name.
Yeah.
Right? So many people are given names and can't live up to it. This man lives up to his name. Right? And just today I was looking at one of his races. Somebody sent me, some YouTube clips of one of his races. Just out of the blue, and look how we're talking about this today. Right? Because he's a force, even in retirement, he's a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yes.
Look how many commercials he has done with big-time groups and companies across the globe. One of the most recognizable people on the planet. He will go anywhere and people will make him out. He is recognizable. Here's the reason why I said this was bigger than soca.
Yeah.
Right? So to get Usain Bolt to do a song, it was featured on the Olympic Channel, where people got to hear not just the song, but also got to know that there's a group in Trinidad called Ultimate Rejects. That goes back to what I was telling you, right? This is what we do. We try to do things that seemingly impossible. Or, how can you try to get Usain? He's not even an artist. And many people felt that this was a gimmick. But I will tell them this. This is to all who felt it was a gimmick, because there are people who are listening, right? I want to tell them this. The cell phone was a gimmick. Getting a man on the moon was a gimmick. Building the tallest building in the world was a gimmick. Getting a plane to fly was a gimmick. You know why? Because it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was far-fetched. Nobody didn't think of it.
Right.
Building a channel which goes underwater from Britain to France, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes.
Right? That's a foul idea. How could you do that? You know, it's impossible to get that done.
Yeah.
Right? So when people see something that is improbable or impossible to do or seemingly impossible, they are quick to discredit it or to call it, nah, that ain't for real. That is just a gimmick. Right? But here it is.
Yeah, but I was surprised myself when I heard Usain Bolt on that remix, actually. Can I just play this track just for our listeners? 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second.
I'm back. Never know. So that was say, are you fearful? Jamaica to Trinidad. Are you ready? People, when I say to jump up, I want you to jump up. Everybody bounce up, everybody bounce up. When I say to jump up, I want you to jump up. Everybody bounce up, everybody take on no run, take on no run, take on no blood, take on no blood. When I say to jump up, I want you to jump up. Everybody bounce up, everybody. Y'all wine, shake everybody, y'all wine, shake everybody, y'all wine. Stop, y'all wine, shake everybody, y'all wine, shake everybody, y'all wine. Stop. Energy to burn.
You see, MX Prime, I'll tell you something. I played this track a couple months ago. I always play this track, and people used to call me and text me and tell me, DJ LT, did you just say Usain Bolt?
Yeah.
I'll say yes. And they was like, Usain Bolt singing soca? You know, I mean...
Yeah.
So it took everybody by surprise, I must say.
Yeah. And again, right, when I spoke to his management, I said to him, this is not just a song that we want to do. We want to propose some level of partnership where, you know, we take it from, because we have a social responsibility in Trinidad and Tobago, and as a group, where we try to engage the young people, whether it be involved in the music, whether it be involved in sports, and him being involved in both, because he's an executive producer, you know, working with you know, artists in Jamaica and rhythms that he's put out that had the likes of Munga and Vibes Cartel and Christopher Martin and all these other guys on it. So he is an executive producer. So he is involved in music, right? And known globally for his sporting conquest. So for us now to work alongside with him, that's not just only for him to sing a song with us. We saw the possibilities, and this is what I explained to his management, that this is more than just a collaboration on one song. This is opening a door where we could now, you know, move forward in Caribbean unity, you know, on different initiatives, and then came COVID, so, you know, a lot of things slowed down. So at the end of the day, we planted a seed, and this is an example for the young people to follow, right? I'm speaking to the kids now, because some of us as grown-ups, we hard of hearing. We learn everything already, right? We think we know everything already. So I'm talking to the youngsters, the teenagers. Plant a seed and water it and try to get enough sunlight and nurture it, so that when your crop grows, right, and you harvest it and you reap it, you feel good to know that you had an idea and your idea came to reality, not because you wished it into existence, but you worked it into existence. Many people wish for things, but they don't work for it. So this is another example of when it started with an idea, and you say, boy, I wish I could get this guy or get this person or get this group or this institute or this brand to work with me. And you willed it into existence, but you also worked on it in order for these said people to be attracted to it enough to say, let's come on board. Because to them, right, they may not have known of Ultimate Rejects like how they know about other acts in Trinidad and Tobago or globally. But what I presented was an opportunity not for him to sing a soca, you know, but for him to be a part of something possibly bigger than just the music. Yeah. So that's how I approach things. I don't approach things from, come, let's do a song together and we will perform. And, you know, no, it's not, it has to have something more substantial in it whether it be a Usain Bolt or whether it be an unknown, right?
Yes.
If you're collaborating with people, you must present something to them that they would say, okay, I love the direction that you're heading in. I like your presentation. I like your plan. You know?
Yeah.
We can't just be doing things willy-nilly because we can get it done. Oh, there must be a purpose behind everything we do.
It's true. Now, also, Ultimate Rejects was involved in another big song called Party Start in 2019 alongside Swappy. Just before you talk to me about this track, let me just feature this track for our listeners.
No problem.
The party start, the party shot, the party sweet, the party nice. It's Raman Ramajay. That is all away. Give me a drink for the case right now. I want a drink for the case right now. Give me the wine and space right now. Give me the rhythm for me waist.
Party Start, Swappy alongside Ultimate Rejects. Whose idea was it to have Ultimate Rejects in a collaboration?
Well, working with Swappy, that has always been something that we've been doing before Party Start. Okay?
Yes.
So he has been one of the artists that Johan has been in constant contact with because they are good friends. So he came to Johan with an idea, and Johan said to him, "Listen, okay, I like your idea, but how about if we, go back to the drawing board and we fix over the beat?" And the whole Party Start energy came, and Swappy went to him and wrote a song, and it ended up one of the biggest songs for 2019.
It was, yes.
Yeah, much like what happened with the remake of Feeling It.
Oh yes, I remember.
This
yes.
year,
Yeah.
right? Which is a huge song and one of the favorite songs coming out of 2020 Carnival.
Yes,
and
I remember.
He came to Johan again because Johan is the brainchild, in terms of putting music together, and we continued along that relationship with Swappy, which has been fruitful and successful thus far. And sometimes, people will say, well, okay, maybe taking the spotlight away from you guys. Remember, our purpose wasn't really to be much involved in the soca, right? But now that we have achieved so much in a short space of time, obviously people would want to work with us because we throw a hat in the ring. So, we are a commercial service, and as long as we like the music and respect the talent, and the talent respects us, and our mindset when it comes to music has to be on par with the talent that we work with. So once there's that hunger and that global approach, and a bigger purpose involved for doing music, we work with people. Yes, we're in a business and we want to make money. So, it may be hard for others to turn down money. But with us, it's not about turning down money. It's about making sure that this money that we collect, we give the customer, the client, the best chance for them to make more money for themselves and to carry all the brands further, so that more people would respect the brand and come knocking on our doors, because remember, we work on music all the time. So it's not a situation where we're seasonal. Because when people hear our work now, they go looking. And when they go looking, they will realize, hey, we didn't know these guys did this production. So all of a sudden, a whole different group of artists who may not be doing soca or calypso would say, hey, we want to work with you guys because we heard what you all did 4 or 5 years ago. So it's about keeping the name out there and the quality out there.
Okay. Now, I'm going to play another track for our listeners, a song called Vaccine, and you will talk to me about it after I play this track.
Okay.
Whole world get quarantine. CDC them pan the scene. Whole world get quarantine. The military with them machine. Whole world get quarantine. Somebody wake up the queen right now. Make the world pure and clean. Make your mind pure and clean. Wash your hand them pure and clean. Wash your mouth pure and clean. Time to come with a vaccine.
102.1 FM.
Things turn up. Wash your clothes with a vaccine. Heal the world with a vaccine. Time to lock down borders. Who no listen to the government orders. Whole time to follow procedure. And get up to date with the media. Whole time to put God first. But don't get that too much in the church. Make things better now, make things worse. Stay vigilant and alert. Right now, make the world pure and clean. Make your mind pure and clean.
Man, this song, I tell you something, man. Your voice is so infectious. Yeah, talk to me about this track, Vaccine.
Well, it's sort of self-explanatory, but we will break it down for the listeners.
Of course.
During this lockdown, I started to work on what I wanted to complete by now was my EP, but a few things happened along the way. Computer come and crash, so I had to send it back to Mac. Hopefully they'll fix it up or send a new one for me. And I'm still waiting on that, but that doesn't stop the production and that doesn't stop the party, because entertainment doesn't wait on anybody. So before the computer saga, I said, okay, let me start to build some beats. And it was during the heights of everything getting shut down, and every 2 minutes you're seeing, the death toll rising in Italy, and what's going on in China and Spain, and you're looking at MSNBC, CNN, BBC. You're seeing everything is about COVID, right? And I felt that let me do a song, not because I want to do a song, because I feel like I could ride some sort of wave. People dying and people suffering and people losing their jobs. That's not a wave you want to ride, right? To be honest with you, right? You don't want to seek no glory off of people suffering and people, not being able to bury their families and stuff like that, because so many horrible things, people have to experience during this pandemic lockdown, right? Loss of income, loss of lives, kids being home all day with their parents. Some people say that's not bad. Not when you're in a custom having your kids at home 24/7 and you being home 24/7. So it was an adjustment for everybody. Now home is school, right? Home is the office. Home is everything.
Yeah.
So it's a total shift that took place during and still happening during these times. So I felt that let me put out a song and just to reinforce, reinforce what all governments of the world were saying. Wash your hands,
right.
But most importantly, wash your mind.
Cool.
When people hear that, wash your mind, pure and clean. Because there's so many things that they need to be grateful for, even though there are loss of lives, loss of jobs, people locked down, people quarantined, people stranded halfway across the world, can't get home. There were people who were on cruise ships that had to wait a whole month or 2 months before they could get back on land. There are a lot of things that people don't know, right? Or they knew, but they're not registering how many things had to be sacrificed in order for life to return to some sort of normalcy.
Cool.
So I felt that, putting out the song was to kind of echo what, leaders of the world and countries and governments of the world were saying, to adhere to the rules and the regulations, but more importantly, don't be the virus. Be the vaccine.
The vaccine, right.
Be the vaccine.
Tell me, before we wrap up MXPen, because we're running behind time, what's new? What's in the pipeline for Ultimate Rejects for 2020, 2021?
Well, to be honest with you, we don't really think that far. All we think is about what's happening right now. So at this point in time, I am working on a couple projects alongside Madman Johan. I got some singles that I think that I need to record, and this may not be for Carnival, we know that if there is a carnival,
if there is one,
there's still going to be soca music that is going to be recorded and put out on the radio. Because I try to tell artists this. This is the most important point, right? We don't need the government to tell us when to record, how to record, what to record. We are artists. We are free to create. So even if there isn't a carnival, you still put out your music because you have a fan base.
It's
right?
true.
You could still do your virtual performances and be paid for it, right?
Nice.
There are things that have been put in place now to facilitate that, right?
Yeah.
So whether there's a carnival or not, and if there isn't a carnival, we understand why, but that doesn't mean that the power of the artist has been suppressed. We now have to take back that power that is within our hands to create, promote, push, market, and let people hear the music still. So why is a carnival going to control my form of expression? I don't think a carnival is that powerful enough to limit or control my expression. So to all artists, whether your carnival has passed or is not going to take place, that shouldn't stop you from putting out your music and engaging your audience. Don't cheat them because there's nothing happening or you think no money is going to be made. You can make money still. You can make inroads still. You can make impact still. The power is...
Definitely. Yeah. So, MX Prime, just before we go, bookings or contact, how can somebody contact you?
Well, you can check me out on @MX Prime, and I have a new page now called Voice of the Prime, which does ads, DJ drops, and all these different things because, as I said, I'm a voiceover talent as well.
Yes.
You're looking for to book Ultimate Rejects or to inquire about, what we do in terms of music and how we can mix, master, record tracks. You can check us out at Ultimate_Rejects on Instagram, and all the information is there in terms of who you need to get in contact with. So you can check us out on Instagram at Ultimate_Rejects, and you could follow me at MX Prime on IG.
Nice one. So before you go, MX Prime, who do you want to say hi to in Trinidad or around the world, your fans? Who do you want to shout out?
I just want to say, thanks to you, LT, for giving me this opportunity to speak to people frankly. And honestly, I want to say big up to all my fans who are in the UK, even good friends like, Vinny Vincenzo and these guys, Martin G and these guys who, been around me since I was a little youth. To my big sister Val, who picks me up and carries me around anytime I'm in the UK. She has no work when I land. She says, hey, work could wait, And, I just want to say thank you to all the supporters. Because fans go wherever the breeze blow, but supporters stand firm during the good and the bad times all across the world, especially in the West Indian diaspora. You guys are tremendous. You guys are, diehards. And just keep supporting the music. Whatever direction we go in, we carry you with us. And, thanks for being passengers on this long journey. And to God be the glory for what else is to come. So, my brother, thanks to you and your platform for highlighting what is going on musically in the Caribbean, especially in the genre of soca music. I know you play Caribbean music, but I know you focus on soca. You have a designated time for that. And we thank you for your efforts, my brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, man. The pleasure having you here, MX Prime. Take care of yourself, my brother. Okay?
Yeah, man. Love in the house.
Yes, blessings.
All the time.
Blessings. Full Extreme, Ultimate Rejects, MS Prime was here. RFI Radio, 102.1 FM. That's one big up 420. Big up to Vincent Crossroads, all the way in Canada as well, locked on. This is RFI Radio, 102.1 FM. So
102.1 FM, things turn up, turn up, turn up.
Just want to big up Rosaline as well on Lockdown. Big up the Valerie and company. Big up the Gus. Big up to DJ Gussie. Big up to Serena Charles on Lockdown right now. Once again, thank you very much, MX Prime, Ultimate Reject, for passing through. It was a pleasure.